Niaje wazea. So today I want to write SQL statements, and by the end of this SQL session, you should be able to understand two group by extension, one being group by rollup and the other one being group by grouping sets. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is to download data from this site. It is catalog.data.gov. You'll find the link in the description, and the data is a CSV dataset that we're going to use, and the data is about city revenues and expenses for the city of Pennsylvania in the US. So I'm going to download this data. If you're following along, please download this and then you can follow the scripts that I'll be writing in this video. So let me click download here. So the data is downloaded. I'm downloading it for the second time. That's why it has this. I think the first instance is here. So this data, I can open it just to have a peek into how it looks. It's a very huge data set. We can see the number of rows that it contains. Around 617,000 rows. So it's a lengthy data set, and it has a number of columns. So we're going to import this data set into Postgres. I'll be using Postgres in this. As usual, in this channel we use Postgres most of the time. I don't know if I've ever used MySQL or any other database, but soon I'll be using other databases. So I'm going to import that table here. So I'm just going to open a new query tool. And before I import that data into this database, I need to create the table that will contain that data. So the data has these columns. I have them listed somewhere, so I'm just going to write a query that's going to create that table. So now we have the table ready. I can refresh here and we can see the table for city revenue expenses. And the next thing that we're going to do is to import the data that we downloaded. So here I have a query that will help me import. It's just copying into this table that we have created from the file. So this is just the absolute path to the CSV that we downloaded. It is in my downloads, and we are defining the delimiter to be the commas, as we have seen here. The columns are separated by comma. It is a comma separated values. And then it has a header, so the header is like these titles. So let me run this to import the data into the table that we have created. So this query is returned successfully, and let's now look at the head for this data. I just want to be able to tell how that data looks like. So I'm just going to limit it to 10. Yeah, so this is the data that we are going to work with today. It contains expenses and I think funding, some bit of funding, but what I'm interested in is the expenses so that I can show you what I wanted to show you today. So I'm interested in the departments. So here we have department name and department number, and also I want the date, if there is a date here. Here we have general date, and then I'm also going to work with the ledger description and the amount. So the first thing I'm going to do with this data is just to write a group by statement, because we are only interested in grouping stuff. So I have a query here for group by and filter. So this statement here, we are selecting department name, department, general ledger date and amount, and the ledger description that we're interested in is expenses. So when you run this, these are the columns that we are remaining with, but on a simple inspection, we can see that these numbers have different signs. This is a negative number and this is a positive number. If this is your normal day-to-day work and you get confused with dataset like this, it's better that you find out why you have negatives and positives. But for my case, I don't know why there is a negative or positive, so I'm going to convert everything to positive. So I'm going to convert this amount to case when the amount is less than 0. Then we need to return a negative multiplied by, negative 1.0 multiplied by the amount, else we return amount. Then we end as, I'm going to give the alias of this to be amount spent. So now we can see that all numbers are positive. Now I want to group by these two values here, so I'm going to use an aggregate function. For this case, we're going to use sum. So when I run this, this is going to fail. So this, from this, where this, then we group by the first two. Group by 1 and 2. Then this is going to work. So we have a problem. They're saying that, where's the error coming from? Some case when this, that, group by 1 and 2. Oh, group by 1 and 2, not 1 and 3. Voila. So here we have this, and we can see the group by. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to first make this the first column. Then I want these to be year month, because I want to do analysis based on month on month analysis, not daily analysis like this. So I'm going to convert this to year month, and I'm going to use an internal function for Postgres. So to char, and then in the to character, I only want to pick year, so 4 Ys, and month, 2 Ms, and I'm going to order by the same thing in ascending order. So order by this, but I want from old to new, so in ascending. So run this, and we have now groupings. So we can check here. We see in January which departments spent what amount of money. So this is the month of January. We can see Citizen Police Review spent this amount of money, city clerks spent this, city council spent this. Then in the month of February, we can see, that is February of 2012, we can see up to somewhere here. Where's 3? Thought I saw 3. Yeah, up to here we can see the amount that each department spent in that month for that city. So this brings us to group by rollup. By rollup, it means that we are extending group by functionality and we are rolling up. So like getting subtotals for each group. So here we have like this group here, this group of January. We could want to know the total sum that was spent by all groups, all departments up to the end of January, and sum up that value. So we roll up everything and we sum up that. Then we'll also want to know in February how much money was spent by all the departments, and we sum that up. So in order to do that in a query, we'll need to use rollup, and it is as simple as adding here the function roll up. So when I run this, we can now see in the month of January 2012, I'm going to highlight all of them. We can now see that each department had the sum of amount to be this. But at the end, in the last row, you can see that there is a null. This null is for all the departments, the summation of all their amounts, and the value that you get here is the total sum of the expenditure for the month of January for all the departments. The same happens for February. So I can highlight February until the end, and then we are meeting a null here. And this null means that this value here is the total summation of each value that appears here in February. So it is like a subtotal before you end up with a total somewhere at the end. I think this goes too far. So here you see this is the last month in 2020 December. This is the subtotal for 2020 December, month of 2020 December, and then this is the total. So each of this was a subtotal that happened. This is a subtotal, and then at the end, this is the final total. And we were able to retrieve that by using rollup as an extension of the group by functionality. So the rollup, what it does, it gives you the summary of the group. It rolls up the summary of the group based on the aggregation function. So if I do max here, then what you're going to have as the subtotal or the sub max or the sub aggregation is going to be the maximum value. So here, like for example, here in January 2012, what you have here as the value 24 is the maximum of all the maximums. So here we have for each department the maximum value of expenditure, but this one here for all of this was the maximum, and that is what is picked. Then that the same happens for February of 2012. This value here is the maximum of all the maximums of February going until the end. So we can check the end. So what we have here is this is the maximum for this, and then this one here, oh, I was wondering, I thought that it was less than this, but this one here has a decimal. So this one here is the maximum amount ever spent by a department ever since 2012, January 2012 to 2020 December. So this is for a particular department, this was the maximum that has ever been spent. And I don't know where I can find it. Could add a filter after this, but to discover what that is. But all in all, what you can see is that rollup function, what it does, it gets you the subtotals. Mostly it works in accounting, where people do the sum of expenditures or sum of income, and then it brings you the subtotals. That the same way you could do in Excel, you can do in SQL using rollup. So the second thing, the second extension of group by that I want us to look at is group by sets, and I mean group by grouping sets. And this is a powerful extension of group by clause that computes multiple group by clauses in a single statement. The group by sets is a set of dimensional columns. I mean, it's equivalent to union of two group by operations in the same result set. I don't know, I think you can understand it clearly when I write it in a query. So I have here a table for nurses that has dummy data. So we can just do a simple select on it. So this is like my nurses data set. It is a very simple, small table. But what I want to do is to group by something. So like we can do select count ID, and then let's do medical license. From this table here, then we group by 2. This is a normal group by that we are used to. Then I want to write 2 statements, that, and then I want also the radio license. So when we run this, we get the result, medical license. So the column medical license doesn't exist. Let me run this. Medical license. Oh, there is LI missing. Run this. Yeah, so we have RN is 1 and LVN is 3 by count. If we counted here, we can see these are 3, this is 1. Then for radio licenses, we can see technician is 2, general is 1, and then amateur extra is 1. So we can run that. So we can see general 1, amateur extra 1, and technician is 3. So if we want to combine both the output of this and this into one output, what we're going to do is to do select count that. I'm going to put them together here. Then group by, instead of doing group by 2, I'm going to do group by grouping sets, and I'm going to pass the 2 columns, so 2 and 3. Clean up that, then let's run this. So now we can see it's a union of the 2 group bys that we did at first. So we have this RN and LVN, 3 and 1 for the count. And then here we have the technician, general, and amateur. Their accounts are here. So the 2 group bys that I did, they are all unioned, and we have one output. I have not seen where I can use this in real life data, but it's good to know, I think. Yep. So that's what I have for you today. Hopefully you've learned something. Until next time, take care.